good evening, everyone, and welcome to Meet Touchstone Essentials Live Product Training Edition. We're glad to have you here and glad to have Cindy Clement here with us as our master teacher. Cindy, thanks for being here.
My pleasure.
Yeah, we're excited to have you here. And Cindy, as you know, is an acclaimed speaker, published author, herbalist, nutritionist, adjunct professor. She knows her stuff. She's been around this business for a long time. We want to make sure that you're aware of her book, Your Body's Environmental Chemical Burden. This is an excellent book that's won a lot of awards. You open it up and just see badge after badge after badge. So that's pretty exciting. Well done on the book. Today, we're going to be talking about achieving healthy, radiant skin as part of our product education. So Cindy, I'll go ahead and turn the time over to you.
All right. Thank you, Craig. I'm really delighted to be here again tonight. I'm really excited to share this information on how to achieve healthy skin. Folks, I have a question for you. Did you know that the skin is the largest organ in our body? It's true. It's thought of as an organ system because it's so large and it's so complex, and it actually accounts for 16% of our body weight if we're at a healthy body weight. Now, of course, if we're a lot heavier, then the skin has even a greater percentage. But the skin is our largest organ of elimination. It acts as a backup channel to both the liver and the kidneys. The sweat, of course, takes the load off the kidneys, and then the oil ducts actually eliminate toxins that are typically processed by the liver. Although when this occurs, it can often result in some type of skin problem. But the skin, what it does is it forms this physical barrier between our external environment and then our internal environment. And it helps to, of course, protect and maintain our health. Now, the skin also shields our body from heat, from light, from injury, from infections, and it helps to regulate our body temperature. It gathers that sensory information from the environment. It stores water and fats and vitamin D, and it also plays a strong role in our immune system to help protect us from disease. Now, I just want to talk about the color of the skin because sometimes that's a question for people. And the color of our skin is actually the result of the amount of something called melanin that we produce. It's also partly the amount of oxygen in our blood, as well as our adaptation to our environment, which is why people from different parts of the world have different colored skin. So these variations in skin color, they correlate very closely with geography and the sun's ultraviolet radiation. So you see, as our early humans moved into the hot areas in search of food and in water, the challenge was keeping cool. So the body's adaptation then involved an increase in the number of sweat glands on the skin, while at the same time reducing the amount of body hair. And with less hair, the perspiration could evaporate more easily and help cool that body down. But this less hairy skin then was a problem because it was exposed then, the skin was exposed to a very strong sun, especially in the lands near the equator. And since strong sun exposure, even today, damages our skin, the skin in early humans evolved to be permanently dark so as to protect against the sun's more damaging rays. Now, conversely, as people moved to areas with lower UV levels farther from the equator, the adaptation involved the skin lightening, which would allow the sun's UV rays to penetrate the skin and produce that vitamin D. I just think that's really fascinating, so I had to share it. But back to melanin. Melanin is that brown pigment that's produced in our bodies by special cells called melanocytes. And cytes just means cells. So these are melanin producing cells. And if you have freckles or moles on your skin, that's where the melanin cells are concentrated in that one spot. And then also, if you are one that tans, likes to tan, the tanning of our skin is due to an increase in melanin production in order, once again, to shield our DNA, our genetic material from the ultraviolet radiation in the sunlight. So people who produce a lot of melanin have browner skin, and light-skinned people produce less melanin. So um, also, the blood supply flushes through a lighter skinned person and gives that skin more of a pinker color. And as you know, when skin is poorly oxygenated, the lips or the nails can take on a bluish color. So lots of different things that happen with the color of the skin. But in addition to the barrier function, our skin, as I mentioned, it regulates our body temperature. It provides a cell fluid maintenance. It detects that stimuli such as heat or pain. It insulates and cushions those deeper body organs that we have. And modified cholesterol molecules that are located in our skin convert to vitamin D in that sunlight. Now, the skin is the body's first line of defense, and it acts as a physical barrier by preventing direct entry of pathogens. So, should we cut ourselves or puncture our skin, luckily, we have good bacteria that lives on it, which is also why if a baby is born C-section and the infant then hasn't been inoculated through the vagina for inoculated with probiotics through a vaginal delivery, when that baby's born C-section, the parents are encouraged to have that infant lay on their chest, on their bare skin with their little mouth, because they can inoculate themselves with some of the bacteria on our skin. So the skin is a wonderful, wonderful organ. We also have what are called antimicrobial peptides and lipids or fats on our skin that also act as a barrier. And we have resident immune cells on our skin that can actually detect and find pathogens and then activate our greater immune system. The skin also has these various types of sensory nerve endings that are going to detect pain or temperature or touch or vibration, anything like that. And each type of those receptors and those nerve fibers, they vary in their speed. So if you go to touch a very hot pan, you know how quickly you can bring that hand away. But this speed and this and all of this, what it does is it leads to a wide range of signals that can help our body react appropriately to what's coming at us from the outside. And as I've mentioned, the skin also provides that thermoregulation because its large surface is highly vascularized, meaning there's lots of blood supply, which can allow it then to either conserve or release its heat. So just take a look then at what the skin actually looks like. Oftentimes we just think of it as a covering, but it really has a lot going on with it. We have over 2 million sweat glands on the body, and they're richly supplied with both nerve endings and nerve endings as well as glands that help them secrete this perspiration and take all that body heat with it, because when we sweat, the body cools down. These sweat glands also aid our liver by eliminating water-soluble toxins and then create that heat to open up the sweat glands and force that elimination through the skin. We also have the sensory nerves there. Let's see if we got a picture of the nerves. I'm not sure if our little images cover up some of that, but there is, oh, there it is, nerve receptor. You can see it. The sensory nerves, what they do is they sense and transmit that heat, pain, and other sensations. But when they're not functioning properly, sensations such as numbness or pins and needles or pain or tingling or burning can be felt. Now, we also have what are called the sebaceous glands or the oil glands, as it looks like on this image, and they secrete something called sebum, which is a mixture of fats. And what that does is it forms a thin film on the skin, and this thin film adds a protective layer and prevents fluid loss, and also has microbial activities or actions with it as well. So the skin overall is a very tightly knit network of cells, and each of the layers contributes to the strength of the skin. So the top layer is called the epidermis, and this is a really tough outer layer that acts, again, as that first line of defense against that external environment. The epidermis is actually 5 layers deep, and the top layer is made up of these dead, flat skin cells that normally shed about every 2 weeks. Now that middle section is called the dermis, and this actually provides that epidermis layer with blood supply, and it has those nerves that bring that attention to danger. The dermis itself is the connective tissue framework that supports that epidermis, and it contains both blood and lymph vessels, sweat glands, and a lot of other various structures. And the types of tissue found in that dermis are collagen and elastin. We also have the hair follicles that are situated there, as are the oil glands. Now, the hypodermis, this is where those little yellow things are fat cells. And what that does is it provides a cushioning or an insulation, and it connects the skin and the underlying structures to muscle. It also houses, as you can see, those larger blood vessels and nerves. It too is important in the regulation of both the skin and of the body. Now, as we age, I just want to point out that in that hypodermis, where those fat cells are, we lose the fat cells in our skin, which is why when we get older, our skin becomes thinner and thinner and more translucent. I remember as a young person looking at my grandmother's hand and noticing that I could see the veins in the back of her hand. I remember this distinctly, looking at my hand, which was all plump and you couldn't see any veins. And then I would look at grandma's hands and she would have all these veins showing. And when I got older, I realized that's because as we age, we just lose a lot of integrity in the skin. Now, comically, as the story goes, my 6-year-old granddaughter also noticed the same thing. Grandma, what are those blue lines on your hands? You know, kids are really good for your ego, aren't they? So anyway, the health of the skin depends on the health of the other body systems. And for instance, our digestive tract breaks down the nutrients that we need for our healthy hair and skin and fingernails and all that good stuff. Whereas the liver processes the nutrients that we need for healthy skin. And as I mentioned, the kidneys and the liver eliminate toxins. In fact, the skin's nickname is the third kidney, because again, it eliminates the sweat and takes that brunt from the kidneys. Now, many forms of skin eruptions signal that there can be problems with the liver and or the kidneys. The thyroid itself processes fats. So dry skin then is often linked with thyroid issues, whereas the adrenals regulate fluid and mineral balances and help to control inflammation. So chronic inflammation of the skin can also be a sign of adrenal problems. Now, in regards to the cardiovascular system, our blood vessels, of course, carry nutrients and oxygen-rich blood to the skin, and then again, carry away the waste materials. if we have deficient blood flow or lymphatic stagnation, this is going to create a more pale or a pasty complexion. So we have to have a good flow of both blood and lymph to the skin in order to maintain a healthy glow. So, what are some of the things that affect the skin? Oh, folks, there are so many things. Of course, in the aging process, there is often a loss of elasticity and pigment, the fat pads, the collagen. And again, the skin can become very thin in the aging process, but also exposure to wind or the bitter cold or even sun or excess water. All of these can also negatively affect the skin, as does an overconsumption of salt or sugar. Now, of course, if we have toxic body systems, well, we just found that the health of these systems is, or the health of the skin is dependent on the health of those other body systems. But hormonal imbalances like menopause or thyroid problems or pregnancy or diabetes, all of these also can affect the skin, as does poor circulation, radiation, chemotherapy, a poor diet, sudden weight loss, and iron deficiency, other vitamin deficiencies. But this is important to know because pesticide poisoning, heavy metal intoxication, smoking, all of these chemicals can affect the health of the skin, as do the chemicals that end up on your skin from your body washes or your deodorant, your lotions, your creams, your shampoos, your makeup. And then think about the chemicals in the laundry detergents that you use or the dryer sheets that you use that end up on the towels that you use to dry your wet skin or the sheets that you're sleeping in or the clothes that you're wearing. So the chemicals that are used to clean your home and antibacterial soaps. And you might question, why does that affect the skin? Because remember, we've got that good bacteria on our skin. And when we use these antimicrobial soaps or these antibacterial soaps, what they do is they change the ecosystem of our skin, and that allows more harmful bacteria in. And lastly, as just a side note, 75% of skin rashes in children are attributable to eggs, peanuts, and milk. So lots of things can affect our skin. So we know what harms the skin. I want to talk a little bit about the nutrients that can aid our skin. And I'd like to start with a couple of minerals. There's a mineral called sulfur. And the sulfur content of foods helps to dry out those dead skin cells and unclog our pores. And sulfur, the mineral sulfur, is a well-known mineral for its detoxification properties. It has antibacterial properties and anti-inflammatory properties. So the foods that are high in sulfur include things like kale or cabbage, cranberry, raspberries, kelp, and spinach, all of which are in super green juice. And spinach, of course, is also found in super greens plus D. Now, silicon also is a very important mineral for our optimal production of collagen in our body. And of course, collagen helps to improve the strength of our skin as well as the elasticity. So some of the foods high in silicon are strawberries and spinach, which are both, again, found in super green juice, as well as fermented rice, which is found in organic super protein. Now, a vitamin that's needed, a couple of vitamins that are needed for healthy skin include something called beta carotene, which is a vitamin A. And beta carotene helps to prevent premature skin aging by acting as an antioxidant. And by doing so, that helps to reduce the damage caused by UV light from the sun, by pollution, and other environmental hazards. And also, the consumption of beta carotene gives us a natural glow to our skin. So beta carotene is found in essentials. Vitamin D, on the other hand, plays a very important role in skin protection. as well as the rejuvenation of the skin because it contributes to skin cell growth and repair. It also enhances our skin's immune system and helps to destroy those free radicals that cause that premature aging. Vitamin D, of course, is found in super greens plus D. Now, because protein is such a major component of skin tissue, keeping these protein rich foods regularly, I would say daily, in your diet is going to help you achieve and maintain firm, elastic, and very clear skin. So, of course, super organic protein can not only help with healthy skin, but protein itself is the building block for every cell in our body, including our organs and muscles. And it's also vital in the production of our hormones and our immune cells. So we really have to make sure to get that daily protein. But let's not forget probiotics. Probiotics have a remarkable ability to rebuild and strengthen the skin's protective barrier. Now, sensitive skin takes time to repair itself after being damaged, but probiotics will help to speed up that healing process. We have studies that indicate that probiotics play an important role in preventing and controlling skin allergies in children. In Finland, these researchers administered or gave probiotics to both women and to their babies who were considered at high risk of developing eczema. But by the time the children were 2, the probiotic had cut the incidence of eczema in half. So probiotics are found in both super green juice and in super greens plus D. Now, toxicants can certainly affect the health of the skin. They affect every part of our body. But with our use of personal care products and makeup and laundry products and cleaning products, we really can add assault and damage to the skin. Along with those types of chemicals, there are others. We have the association of pesticides with cancer. This was first noted in 1960 when farmers using insecticides in grape fields had a higher prevalence of skin cancer. And the human health effects from exposure to one particular pesticide called hexachlorobenzene included impairment of the skin, the liver, and damage to the immune system and the nervous system. All systems which are important for the health of our skin. PCBs are considered what they're called are persistent organic pollutants, and we call those forever chemicals. They just don't leave our environment, and they have been linked to concerns involving the skin and the nervous system. Triclosan is found in hundreds and hundreds of products, especially personal care products, because it's an antimicrobial. So they put triclosan in your makeup and in your lotions so it doesn't grow bacteria. However, the health issues from triclosan include antibiotic resistance and an increase in the rate of allergies and skin irritation. Now, I've doctored up the next slide just to give you a couple of websites, all by the Environmental Working Group, because this is really important to know. The Environmental Working Group is a nonprofit organization of health professionals, researchers, doctors, nurses, who all understand the effect that toxicants have on our body. And this group, the Environmental Working Group, has 2 databases. The first one is called Skin Deep, and it contains more than 60,000 products that can be accessed on this web link, ewg.org/skin deep. And here you can find safer personal care products, including your makeup, your sunscreens, your deodorants, and anything else that you apply to your skin, products that won't increase your body burden. And they have an additional database on healthy cleaning products, dish soaps, and all of those types of things that can be found at ewg.org /guide/cleaners. But you can access these databases by downloading an app on your smartphone. The app is actually called EWG for Environmental Working Group, EWG Healthy Living. And when you download that app, it makes shopping so much easier because what you can do is you just scan the barcode and it will immediately give you the safety score on that product, whether it's for your skin or for cleaning. So it really makes shopping a whole lot easier. So be sure and visit those websites or download that app. Now, as I mentioned, we really do need to detoxify on a daily basis. And yes, I know that I say that in every presentation, but it is one of the most vital things that we can do to maintain our health and our vitality. There are over 300 studies listed on PubMed on the beneficial properties of zeolite. And this mineral, this zeolite mineral, has gained increasing renown for its natural ability to trap toxins and heavy metals and other environmental pollutants. Because zeolite, again, it's a natural mineral, but it has a rare negative charge. And many of these heavy metals and other toxicants possess a positive charge. So if that zeolite comes into close contact with that toxicant, it will bind it and remove it from the body. So luckily for us, with just a few sprays and drops every day, we can get rid of the toxicants in our body and help to keep them out, and thus experience better energy and greater well-being. Folks, and when it comes to detoxification, I want you to remember this: as our toxicants are mobilized, that means they get moving and released from our fat storages, the skin can enhance detoxification through sweating. There are various researchers that have confirmed that the body burden is reduced in sweating during exercise or sitting in a sauna. Remember, the skin is considered a significant organ of detoxification, and numerous toxicants are excreted through that perspiration, some of which were never detected in blood serum during these clinical studies. So in other words, when these researchers were testing people's blood and testing their hair for toxicants, they found toxicants in sweat that were never detected in blood or in hair. So that's pretty impressive. So we all need to work up a sweat. All right, let's move on to the endocannabinoid system. Of course, it's over 500 million years old, and it was only discovered about 30 years ago. The main function of the ECS is to maintain what's called homeostasis. And what that is just a biological harmony or a balance in our bodies in response to changes in our body. So our body produces something called an endocannabinoid. All right, so an endo means we produce it, it's internal. We produce it. And what they are natural cannabis-like molecules. And because we have these cannabinoid receptors found all over our body, receptors in the skin are also present. And what they do is they function in relation to pain and itch perception, as well as in the suppression of things like dermatitises, eczemas, psoriasis, and things like that. The functional effects of cannabinoids on the skin can actually be divided into 4 different categories. There's a lot of research on this, folks. And first, the effects of cannabinoids, they regulate that epidermal homeostasis, that outer layer, a balance in that outer layer. And this can have relevance, of course, to psoriasis and dermatitises and eczemas, but additionally, cannabinoids have been shown, again, on the skin to modulate tumor progression in these non-melanoma skin tumors. Now, cannabinoids on the skin can regulate pain sensation. So I mentioned how we have endogenous cannabinoids, which is what our body makes, but there are also exogenous or cannabinoids. And those are the things that we supplement. So we've got endo, inside, and exo from the outside. So these endogenous and exogenous cannabinoids both can modulate pain and itch through their actions in the spinal cord and in the brain. Now, thirdly, the functional effects on cannabinoids on the skin result in regulation of skin inflammation because cannabinoids exert an anti-inflammatory effect. And finally, these cannabinoids exert effects on the development, maintenance, and function of hair follicles and those sebaceous or oil glands. Now, there's lots of research, as I mentioned, that suggest that CBD provides beneficial effects for the skin, and that CBD ointments or salves or balms can provide relief to people suffering from dermatitis and even rosacea. So in the first one, the Journal of Clinical Cosmetic and Investigational Dermatology, quite a name for that journal, but it's a peer-reviewed journal. In 2020, they wrote in their journal that a body of preclinical evidence suggests that a topical application of CBD may be efficacious for skin disorders such as eczema, psoriasis, inflammatory conditions, and pruritus, which is itchy skin. In the next journal, Trends in Pharmacological Sciences, we read that it seems that the main physiological function of the ECS, the endocannabinoid system, in regards to the skin is to control the proper and well-balanced proliferation of cells, as well as immune competence of the skin. So when we talk about the well-balanced proliferation of cells, that means we're producing the right amount, not an over proliferation, which is what happens sometimes in skin diseases, or an under proliferation, which means there wouldn't be skin in repair. So CBD can help with the well-balanced proliferation of cells. And lastly, in the Journal of Molecules, it was published that, and I have to read this one, experimental efforts over the last 2 decades have confirmed that cutaneous, which means skin, cannabinoid signaling is deeply involved in the maintenance of skin homeostasis, barrier formation, and regeneration, and that the dysregulation, so now the ECS on the skin isn't working, that the dysregulation of the skin's cannabinoid signaling was shown to contribute to several highly prevalent diseases and disorders, such as dermatitis, psoriasis, acne, hair growth, various tumors, itch, scleroderma, which is like a hardening and a tightening of the skin, and pigmentation disorders. So think of things like birthmarks or vitiligo, for instance. So when used on a daily basis, these CBD products can feed and support not only your skin, but every body system. And don't forget about Soothe Topical CBD Balm with lavender and eucalyptus, because lavender works to kill bacteria. It unclogs the pores, it reduces inflammation, and it's been shown to help with psoriasis and eczema. It's also good for insect bites and wound healing. Eucalyptus, on the other hand, boosts circulation, which we know is critical for healthy skin. Eucalyptus also has anti-inflammatory properties that help reduce redness and to soothe the skin. So folks, these CBD products are organic. There were no solvents used in processing, so we can be really grateful about that and put it right on our skin without having to check the Skin Deep database. There are no artificial ingredients. They're fast acting, they're highly absorbable and non-genetically modified. So we want to use them on a daily basis and see what kind of changes you see in your skin. And finally, Dr. Bernard Jensen was one of my very first teachers in the early to mid 1970s, and he was a strong advocate of dry skin brushing. So remember to exfoliate your skin and stay hydrated. And friends, that concludes tonight's presentation on achieving and maintaining our healthy skin. I want to thank you so much for spending time with us, but also I want to invite you to join us on March 3rd, when we're going to be discussing how to obtain vitamins through food rather than using capsules and tablets. So back to you, Craig.
Thank you, Cindy. That was great. I'm excited for the vitamins, and then you're going to follow it up with minerals too,
I
right?
know, I can't wait.
There's some exciting things coming. So thank you for today. It was wonderful learning about the skin and understanding our products and how to achieve vibrant, healthy, radiant skin.
We can do
Well
it.
done as always.
Thank
Ladies
you.
and gentlemen, thank you for being with us tonight as well. We appreciate you spending time with us not each week, but at least twice a month, right? We appreciate you being here with us to learn more about our products and about the body and how our products can help. Well, have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you soon.
Good
Take
night,
care,
everyone.
everybody. Bye-bye.